You may have been hearing about athletes using sodium bicarb in endurance sport to buffer lactic acid. So I think we need to dive into what this even means, what is happening, is it effective, and is it even safe? When our bodies become acidotic, whether it's from an illness or from doing extremely intense activity, there are systems in place within our bodies to buffer that acid and maintain a neutral acid-base balance. The first thing that will happen is respiratory rate will increase to blow off carbon dioxide and help get rid of some of that acid. The other thing that happens is that our kidneys start to create sodium bicarbonate, and that is to help neutralize those acidic hydrogen ions and bring the pH back to a normal state. When we exercise anaerobically, meaning we are no longer able to utilize oxygen in our muscles for fuel because we're working that hard. We are operating in a system that now is creating lactic acid. That lactic acid then dissociates into lactate and hydrogen ions. It's those hydrogen ions that are acidic. That's what creates the fatigue and that burning feeling in the muscles. So our internal buffering system can get overwhelmed, and that's what causes us in those extreme intense activities to ultimately have to stop. So for athletes that have been using bicarb for this specific type of activity, such as sprinting, rowing, short intense bursts, they have seen some benefits to the use of bicarb. The limiter is that taking in the amount needed can cause extreme GI distress. So when bicarbonate goes into the stomach and combines with the stomach acid, CO2 gets produced. So that can create a lot of nausea, burping, belching. And then with the massive sodium load that also hits your GI tract, a lot of fluid is then getting pulled in to help soak up that sodium. That can cause a lot of cramping and ultimately diarrhea. This is the whole concept behind a colonoscopy prep, and some laxatives that operate in that way as well. So the next question is, does this even play a role at all in endurance sport where we shouldn't be operating anaerobically? My answer is no. You should be functioning below your threshold in endurance sport where you're operating aerobically. You should never be producing so much lactic acid that your acid-base system isn't under control. So when you take bicarb, but you're not in an acidotic state, all you're asking for is more GI problems because now your system actually has to buffer the alkalosis from the bicarb because you weren't in an acidotic state. So that's only going to cause more GI problems. There's no studies that show that there's any benefit to using bicarb in endurance sport when you're operating aerobically. One product out there on the market is the Martin bicarb system. They claim to crack the code on GI distress, and they say that their product does not cause GI distress. I'm a little skeptical. For one, it is $70 for a 4-serving pack, and the lowest serving comes with a whopping amount of 3,300 milligrams of sodium, up to their highest serving dose, which is 6,900 milligrams of sodium. This is an insane amount of sodium. There is no normal person out there that can consume this amount and not experience GI distress. At a minimum, even if you don't get GI distress, this is not healthy and not good for you. Nobody should be consuming that much sodium. So my final opinion on this is maybe let's leave the sodium bicarb to the healthcare system and let's just make our gains the old-fashioned way with some hard work.